Hi Libra, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your November 2020 love reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. As far as personal readings, I decided to take a break from those until early next year. Just wanted to give you an update there. As far as what we have in front of us, this is why I call it a bridging the gap spread, and the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. These are the past energies, present energies, future energies, and once we get through all those, we'll actually pull some oracle cards with some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, and on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Also keep in mind this is just a general spread, so I'm going to be referring to the cards on the left as your energy, the cards on the right as their energy. If you feel like those energies should be flip-flopped, then definitely trust that. Alright, so with all that out of the way, past energy on your side, we have Fortune, which is the equivalent of the Wheel of Fortune, and Judgment, which to me usually points to Scorpio energy. So, I mean, we are in the midst of Mercury retrograde in Scorpio right now, but combining these two cards together, I feel like this is saying that, you might have been getting some signs and synchronicities around this person. Maybe you heard a song that made you think of them, for example, or possibly even in your dreams, you were starting to see this person. The reason I say that is because if we look at the figure there, it looks like he's not physically in the room with her, but obviously she sees that he's there. So I feel like, it could just be saying that energetically you just felt their energy around you. And with that Judgment card, that might have been followed by them actually physically coming back around, or possibly you reaching out to them. Could be either way. But yeah, I mean, that definitely sounds like generic Mercury retrograde, as of right now anyway. Past energy on their side, we have the King of Chalices. So this is actually the equivalent of the King of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. So again, like we were saying, we have that Mercury retrograde going on there now. But this could just be saying that they might be a bit closed off emotionally, where the emotions can run deep, but they're not always very clear about bringing them out. So, it could have been one of those things where you might have reconnected with this person and then you might not have been sure. They might have had a poker face, for example, like, okay, is this person happy I'm back around, or what's the deal? You know what I mean? So, could just be saying that was what was going on there. And of course, he obviously could be dealing with a Scorpio as well. Present energy on your side, we have Oppression, which is the equivalent of the Tower card. Princess of Staves, which is the equivalent of the Page of Wands. And Balance, which is actually the equivalent of the Temperance card, which is Sagittarius energy. So an interesting blend of energies here. Oppression, it could just be saying that you might have been going through something, and for the majority of you, I'm picking up on that this isn't even directly related to the connection. I feel like this is something outside of that you guys were going through, but just maybe you weren't communicating to this person. And it can be something that comes up for you guys a bit suddenly. So just looking at it from an astrological standpoint, I should point out, of course, we're going to have that full moon at the very end of October. So given that this is in the present position for November reading, you could definitely still be feeling that energy, obviously, as November starts. That full moon in Taurus, which is your 8th house, is going to be conjunct Uranus. So that's already a pretty intense energy. And then on top of that, pretty much right after that, you're going to have Mercury retrograde in your sign and make a square aspect with Saturn. So that's pretty intense energies right on top of each other. So that could definitely bring something back, given that the 8th house is a pretty deep energy to begin with. And then, like we said, that Saturn energy being 4th house, we're talking about things that could be coming up from the surface from way back for you guys. So it could just be saying that, you might temporarily withdraw due to that. And I do have to say, what comes to me with the artwork here is like with the way she's kind of looking back, even though the horse is clearly moving away from the cards on the side. It could be one of those things where you kind of are hoping that they would come after you. Well, it doesn't want to focus, but yeah, just trust me. She's kind of looking back a little bit. So it could be one of those things where you're hoping that they would come after you, But it looks like whatever it is, I feel like you're going to get over it pretty quickly, because then we see the balance energy here, which is, like I said, Temperance, Sagittarius energy. Also, for you guys, that represents your house of communication. So I feel like whatever this is, it's going to feel pretty heavy in the moment. Like I said, it could just be a few days between that full moon and that square with Mercury and Saturn, where you might just have some old unresolved things come back up to the surface for you that might really throw you off for a few days. But I really do feel like it's going to be short lived, and then you guys will be right back at it. So that's what I'm seeing there. And for some of you, maybe it'll last a little longer, maybe until we get into officially Sagittarius season, for example, which is closer to the end of November. But for the majority of you, I feel like it's going to be a much briefer thing than that. All right. And present energy on their side, we have the Ten of Wands, which is also Sagittarius energy, and the Knave of Chalices, which is the equivalent of the Page of Cups. So, interestingly enough, seeing that this is Sagittarius energy again here, which, like I said, is your house of communication, I feel like it could just be saying, like, they might be feeling like the communication with you right now is difficult, especially looking at the card that's directly beneath that, where it looks like the guy's, trying to write a letter, and it looks like he's crumbling up one ball of paper. There's already a couple behind him on the floor, so they could be struggling to find the right words to say. And that could definitely be one of those things where, like I said, if you guys do withdraw, and for the majority of you, I feel like it's something totally unrelated to the connection, but they don't know why you withdraw. They might start to feel like, well, I don't know, it's kind of hard to communicate with a Libra, you know what I mean? So one of those things where one issue just kind of snowballs into something even bigger. But on the more positive side of this does say that they do, they would actually be willing to stay in and put in that work. But there could definitely be some frustration on their part, so just keep that in mind. All right, and you know what? Another way I could see this playing out too, given that we do see the full moon energy there, could be where, if they felt like the communication was already stagnant between the two of you, they might say something during that full moon, and then, it might be taken the wrong way, and then could just balloon into something a bit bigger. So for some of you, that can be directly related to the connection, but for the majority of you, like I said, I felt like it was more something separate. But something to keep in mind there. So just keep an eye out for that. Like I said, there was pretty much the very end of October, first few days of November. Just understand energy is a bit volatile around that time. So if you can avoid conflicts, try to do so. And if they do come up, understand that, hey, it'll most likely pass pretty quickly. All right. Future energy on your side, we have transformation in reverse. So put in the upright while we talk about it. This is actually the equivalent of the Death card, so more Scorpio energy here. So a lot of Scorpio energy in general in this spread. And, with this coming up in the reverse, though, I feel like this is saying that you're not ready to leave the connection behind. So this is another thing that to me indicates that it is a pretty short-lived thing. And it could also be saying that you guys, just might work through whatever issues you guys might have had. If you had, because obviously, like I was saying in the past, it looks like they weren't in the picture, but you started getting signs and synchronicities, or hearing a song that reminded you, well, I mean, that'd be a sign as well in the synchronicity. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. So you might have just, kept getting signals that, all right, maybe I should reconnect with this person. And then, like I said, there might be that temporary blip in the present where things don't seem to be going right. But with this coming up in reverse, it looks like it's saying that, you guys are most likely going to keep working together on the connection. There just might need to be some things you need to change. And quite frankly, primarily the one that comes to mind is the communication, right? So, if you're going through something, for example, just let them know the situation. And that's a huge thing in a lot of relationships, communication. So believe me when I say you're far from alone if you guys are having a little bit of difficulty with communicating what you're going through. But yeah, that's what I see there. And the future energy on their side, we have the Magician. So seeing this in the upright again is almost a similar energy to what I was saying, what I saw with the Ten of Wands, which is to say, I feel like they are going to be willing to put in the work. And it also could just be saying that, hey, they could be a bit of an untapped resource for you guys in a certain way, which is to say that, like I said, if you do tend to try to go through things on your own and not really discuss them with them, it could just be saying that, hey, they might actually have some valuable insight on situations, and quite frankly, maybe because they've gone through similar things already. Because, like we said, we do see that King of Chalices energy in the past, so quite frankly, they could be a bit secretive in their own ways too. So something you might be going through, they might have already gone through it, and you guys won't really find that out until you actually start talking about those things. So that's what I'm seeing there. But yeah, overall, looks like there's definitely positive energy on their side to keep the connection moving forward. And like I said, that thing that I see there, I feel like that's going to be mostly short lived for most of you. Not that it's not going to suck while you're going through it, but I don't think it's going to be like a long term issue for you guys. Bottom of the deck on your side, we have Princess of Arrows. So this is the equivalent of the Page of Swords. So yeah, and I mean, if we look at her body language, she's definitely leaning back in towards the cards on that side. So like I said, if you do disconnect from the connection for a bit, I feel like it won't take long before you guys actually do try to come back and communicate. And quite frankly, you might even let them know, like, look, this is what I was going through, whatever, whatever, right? And because like I said, it is going to be the Mercury retrograde is technically going to wrap up in your sign before it goes back forward through Scorpio again, but that's what I'm seeing there. And then the bottom of the deck on their side, we have the Three of Chalices. So this is actually the equivalent of the Three of Cups. And like I usually say in traditional tarot, I view that as like long-standing connections, people we might have known for a long time. And then also with this deck in particular, it definitely has a passionate energy. And then that egg represents fertility and the possibility of longevity for the connection. So definitely looks like they're in it to win it. I don't think they're going to be leaving over whatever the situation is. Like I said, it definitely looks like they will be frustrated, quite frankly. There's no denying that. But it does look like, whatever it is, it looks like you guys will be able to get over it relatively quickly. And not to mention, I almost forgot, you guys are going to have Mars going forward in your opposite sign again this month as well in November. So around mid November, it finally starts to move direct. So that could help alleviate some pressure too, where if you guys might have felt like you were just spinning your wheels in your relationship, that could help free up that energy as well and actually help you get things moving. So it's definitely some supportive energies coming your way in this month. But like I said, that very beginning of November is going to be a bit bumpy for most people. And I could clearly see that playing out for you guys. So just a heads up there. All right, so next we'll move on to the Oracle deck. First, we'll see if we get anything from Aqua Moonlight Oracle deck here. And I did pre-shuffle this deck. And what I'm going to be looking for is unspoken messages from you to them and then from them to you. And if we shuffle for a while and nothing comes up, I'll just take that as a sign to move on to the next Oracle deck since it's just a general reading. But sometimes we do get some extra messages through these. So, like I said, first we're looking for unspoken messages from you to them. Oh, almost had one there. All right, I'll give it a few more shuffles, and if nothing comes up, we'll move on to their side. All right, so yeah, we'll see if we get any unspoken messages from them to you now. Nope, got one. Okay, well, yeah. this isn't going to be very helpful for you. So for those of you who didn't already see it, I will say that this deck has yes or no cards in here. So if you have a question in mind, you might want to ask that now, and then I'll show you what the actual card says. But yeah, this particular card that came up just says yes. So yeah, if you had a question in mind, hopefully that clarifies that for you. Outside of that, I have no idea what your question would have been, so I can't really give you any additional insight on this card. I forgot those cards are in there, so sorry about that. But yeah, that's the one that came up. So, all right, moving on to the Wisdom of the Oracle deck next. Same situation, I pre-shuffled this one, and then we're just going to look for one card here, though, with general advice and wrap up. Almost have one there. But I'll give this a few more shuffles, and if nothing comes up, we'll just put the deck down and pull a random card. So we're not shuffling forever. Yeah, so let me just put the deck down. All right, and give me a few seconds to tune in. We'll just grab a card. All right, let's see what we get. Okay, we have Tick Tock. There's the artwork, and the number is 30. So let's see what it says. Okay, it says timelessness, divine timing, immeasurable time. The Oracle's message. When humans created time, everything changed and contracted. People have come to look at life in a linear way, imagining that the past is behind them and the future ahead of them. But what if that isn't true at all? What if everything, creativity, beauty, chaos, and order, were happening now in a glorious timelessness? You have all the time in the world to co-create the life you desire, so release your agenda. Let go of your need to shape each moment to your expectations, knowing that what is yours will never be withheld from you. Miracles are here right now and always show up when you need them, right on time. So definitely a pretty positive message there, goes without saying. So hopefully that resonated with you. And then the relationship message says love, the fulfillment of desire, and even the body's reproductive cycles have their own timetable. Some things are preordained and cannot be coerced. Everything has its season, its divine and appropriate timing, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Remember that you always have enough time for love, to find it, to nurture it, to give and receive it. Its clock is eternal and ticks according to the beating of your heart in perfect rhythm. Isn't that wonderful to know? Love is always right on time. So definitely an interesting message there. And if nothing else, like I said, I feel like that might be a good message for you guys to keep in mind, that if you, for example, if you don't watch this until November and whatever this situation that I was talking about here already happened for you guys, just keep in mind, like I said, it feels like it'll be a temporary thing and you guys should be able to get back on track. Like I said, it looks like, quite frankly, the person might be frustrated by whatever happens as well, but I do see that they're ready to move forward from it as well. So hopefully that resonated with you guys. We'll wrap up there and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.